Now, whether you like it or not, product management is becoming the new QA, right? And so you have to use AI to test faster and catch more issues because if you're not doing this, you're slowing the team down. So you're at your desk, it's late in the afternoon, you're clicking through a product feature quickly so you can try to find everything that's going on. QA is now your responsibility, and there's barely enough time to finish this before the next sprint is about to begin. And you're thinking, what am I going to miss? Like the pressure is building, you're getting Slack messages coming in, and updates keep on flying around you. Like everyone is super busy trying to get everything complete to go to the next sprint. And you're doing this mostly manually if you're not automating some of this with AI. But it doesn't have to be that way. As a product manager, this is not the glamorous part of the role. It's not something you want to be doing, but it's a necessary part of the job, even more so now. So if you want to triple your impact, you cannot ignore quality. At the same time, if you're spending an inordinate amount of time testing, you're also reducing your impact. The goal is to make testing faster, more structured, less manual, so you can protect quality without being the bottleneck. So let's talk about how AI can help you test increasingly more powerful levels. Level one, AI can help you manually review the product by creating a test plan for you that you know you can execute against. In many cases, a product manager will just see a list of features and then kind of just walk through and do a gut check to see whether it works. But we talked a little bit about the discipline of a real QA person, and they would create a test plan that was based off of the acceptance requirements that was used to test the flow and used to find edge cases. And this is where having a strong acceptance criteria becomes critical in the requirements, because then you can use them for a test plan. Not only that, but the LLM can use that when it's implementing the code as well. So if you have vague requirements, the testing will be vague as well. If you have vague acceptance criteria, it's not going to be a successful, quick iteration through. So these need to be specific. So you can ask the LLM to look at the requirement and acceptance criteria and generate a test plan for you. So this will create a more disciplined way of going through the testing process. It will identify what needs to be tested, what edge cases might be missing, what steps you should follow to reproduce each of these scenarios. And ideally, every test case should map back to a specific acceptance criterion. And that matters because when something fails, you're not just saying this feels broken. You're saying this specific acceptance criteria has not been met. And then that's something the engineers can work with. You can right now write a bug and have a clear way to reproduce that bug. And then the engineer or the LLM will be able to reproduce it and then fix it. So that's super important. So that's level one, using the LLM to help you create a test plan. At level two, you start using AI to automate the parts of the testing process. And this means using tools like Playwright or in browser automation or other AI-assisted testing tools that can walk through the acceptance criteria and test to see if those have been met. And if the feature involves sort of API calls, that's even a little bit easier. Claude Code can actually help test those things, or Codex can help test those things. But if it's a UI, you'd need some kind of browser automation. If it's an iOS app, there are tools that you can use within the iOS framework that can create automated tests as well. The important thing is not just talking to AI to test or just telling AI to test the product. You're giving it the requirement, the acceptance criteria, and the expected flows, and you're asking it to test against those expectations. These tests can help catch obvious failures. You can have these things take screenshots and then identify broken states, and you can actually have it draft bugs when something doesn't work. But you do have to be careful because these automated tools are not there yet. We use them within my company, and I'd say they're probably 75% accurate. They're still not catching 25% of the things that we would want it to catch. They miss things, they misunderstand things. They may flag things that are not actually bugs, and they may think something that is a bug is actually working correctly. So use this as a crutch in some level, but you're still going to have to do a quick pass and a manual run through yourself, but it can help accelerate that. So AI can accelerate your testing, but right now it doesn't replace the product manager's judgment in terms of whether this is actually working the way that it should. And it definitely doesn't fully replace a professional QA engineer who would write a really formal test plan and get this going. But that's the reality of where we are today. So now level 3 related to testing. At level 3, you can connect testing to your product systems. So AI, you can use AI to test a requirement, run it through the acceptance criteria and so forth. And then what you want to happen now is, and I mentioned this briefly in level 1, but you want that failed behavior to create a bug in your ticketing system. So again, we use linear. If it goes through the criteria and it understands that it found something wrong, it would rewrite the way to reproduce that. And then it would enter that into the bug system. So this makes testing faster and more traceable. So in level 1, you were finding it manually. In level 2, you were finding it automatically. And in level 3, you're having the bug get entered automatically into the system instead of manually moving all those things across. So now the workflow goes from requirement to manual test notes to bug write-up to ticket. And instead, you're creating an automated way to write the ticket. So the key thing to look out for here is most times it'll find bugs. So the bugs that it reports are going to be accurate. But the tricky part is the bugs that it didn't find, or it said that it worked correctly. Many times, well, not many times, but like say 20, 25% of the times from what I've seen, that it doesn't catch those bugs. And those are the ones that can be dangerous. So let's now jump to startup mode. And I think you know, based on what we talked about, you can guess this. In startup mode, you ask the AI to actually fix the bug. So it's not just automating the bug. You're having the bug get fixed automatically, retested, and then if it's still a bug, it would write another report, and it can go through this loop. So in order to do this, you need access to the repo, right? You also need these if you're going to automatically create the bug and have the LLM go ahead and execute against the ticket. So this is where you're really leveling up to beyond 3x level here. And that's the level of operation in which you need to operate at a startup if you really want to go as fast as you possibly can. So this isn't about turning product managers into QA engineers. It's about giving product managers enough leverage to protect quality when the old process doesn't exist anymore. So the old workflow looked like this. You read the requirement, you manually test, you write notes, you recreate the context, you file the bug report, you explain the issue, and then you wait for engineering to fix it. In the new AI-assisted workflow, you're writing the requirement using AI. It's generating a test plan automatically. It's using Playwright and other tools to validate the bug. If it finds a bug, it's creating a ticket. And then if it's creating that bug ticket, AI is fixing it through coding and then going through that loop again. This is where the real leverage comes from. This is how you're not just saving time on testing, you're reducing the ambiguity, improving traceability, and helping engineering get clearer bugs faster. And in some cases, even clearing the bugs yourself. And most importantly, you're protecting your own time. Because if testing expands to fill in your calendar, your impact is going to shrink. It's probably already shrinking right now. You spend less time on customers and strategy and prioritization, discovery, and the higher level work that actually moves the product forward. So the goal is not to become a QA department. The goal is to protect quality without letting testing consume your entire role. This is how AI helps you triple your impact. It lets you catch more issues, move faster without engineering, and get back to the work that a strong PM can do.